Welcome to a tutorial on onMission Rampages and Liberty City Stories. We'll get right into it. This is just a basic starter save that you would make in a speedrun, or for speedrunning. Right after Home Sweet Home. I don't have anything in here, that's fine. So, getting on Mission 0 with the Rampage is very different in this game. There are two ways to do it. There's a fast method used in any percent and 100%. Both of these methods are used. However, the fast method is a lot more difficult and is fairly unreliable. So you use it a lot towards the beginning of the run 100%, but you start to use the slower method in towards the end of the game. It also works out that just tends to be faster. Now, basically, what we're going to do is we are going to hold Firefighter. It must be done with Firefighter. Firefighter is the only thing, or only submission that can be held outside of a vehicle. We're going to hold it and we're going to release it on the same frame as we start the rampage. If I don't get it this time, I will show you the other setup. So I'm holding it, so I'm holding the up arrow right now. And I'm going to run into this rampage and start at the same time. I have a lineup where I kind of run in the wall and then flick my joystick into it and release Firefighter. Okay, so that didn't work, so I'll show you the other method. Now, ideally you'd want a taxi for this method, but also works with a trash master. Ideally, taxi or trash master. I think those are the only methods you use in most 100% routes. You can also use Firefighter in a different method, but that's only if you plan on using it. So I couldn't find a taxi, so I'm going to get a trash master just from the junkyard here. Basically, this method can be used in pretty much every 3D universe game, even though every other game has a, well, excluding San Andreas, obviously, but every other game that has a Rampage has faster methods, like 3 in Vice City, you can just hold a submission when you start the Rampage and then drop it. VCS, you cancel a Rampage on, or cancel Vigilante on top of Rampage. So we're going to grind off the door. You don't have to, but Emulator actually has tighter timing for this. This is consistent, by the way, this method. Basically, I'm going to line it up so that I start the rampage. There is a delay. This is similar trick used in 100% of Vice City stories. There's a delay before starting the rampage. We start Trash Dash or Taxi Driver in that time. And then rampage will start after we've already started the submission, like during that fade. And we can cancel the submission, and we'll have an onMission 0 rampage. So I'm just going to line it up so that I can easily get into the trash master. Alright. Basically, I'm going to get in right as the rampage timer disappears. So we'll wait for it to count down. 4, 2, 1. Basically, the reason that works, there you go, there's the rampage turning, and now we're on both the rampage and the side mission at the same time. So the reason that works is because you can still pick up rampages while in the animation of getting into the vehicle. So we can go ahead and cancel it, and now we have an onMission 0 rampage. So there's another method with Firefighter I'll showcase real quick. Actually, I'll try to get the fast onMission 0 first. So we'll just wait for this rampage to run down. As a side note, wait, I can't get in here. As a side note, you cannot dupe to skip story missions in LCS, like you can in San Andreas or Vice City stories. Does not work like that. The difference in it does operate in mission chains, but the difference is that SA and VCS have a counter, and when you pass the mission in that chain, it just adds 1, where in LCS it sets the number to a specific variable. So even if you complete the same mission duped, it'll just set the, let's say you dupe Slacker, or a better example would be the offer. So that's the first mission in the chain, and instead of just adding 2 to the counter since you completed a mission in that chain 2 times, it would just set it to 1 twice. So you cannot dupe to skip. So we're going to go ahead and wait for this timer to run out. However, there's a lot of instapasses in LCS, and there's some other methods of onMission 0. But most of those do originate just from rampages or chaining from other onMission 0 glitches. There is one glitch very late in the game that has to do with a certain mission, a Love on the Run, where basically failing it in a certain way, then restarting it will give you onMission 0 free, without any rampage or submission setup. It's very stupid, but I'm going to go ahead and try this again. If it doesn't work, I'll just skip ahead, trying it again and again. So some people just walk straight into it, but I prefer to do my little. So, go ahead and try again. So, I release it too early, so nothing happens. It just firefighter cancels. Keep in mind, this is actually very stupidly hard and random. This can take a few tries, unfortunately. It's why 100% is very difficult for this game. This does take a while, unfortunately. This can, at this point, if you're doing 100%, this would be a reset with how many tries this is taking. The unfortunate thing is it's frame perfect and a random frame. So, however, this is necessary for any percent because of the trick use. Not in OAJS though. So some people just like to walk into the rampage instead. However, I find it to have some bad timing. You can also park the fire truck a little more out of the way. It can take a while to get used to the timing. As a beginner, I do apologize for how long this is taking and all the cuts. That'll be... There we go. So you know you did it right if you hear that little bloop, but firefighter appears, or firefighter appears for a second, and then it switches to a rampage, or sometimes it'll not show firefighter at all, but you still do it. Once firefighter instantly fails, you'll know you have it. Now the other method I will show is doing the slow onMission 0 rampage with firefighter. So instead we are going to hold firefighter, just start the rampage without dropping it, and I'll jump to the end of the rampage. So I'm going to drop firefighter during that section I was talking about earlier and pick up the rampage again. Drop, rampage starts, and it cancels. Basically, like similar to Trash Task or Taxi Driver, we start a submission in that section between the rampages, starting and ending. So that's about it for onMission 0 Rampages in this game. There's a lot you can do with these, chaining-wise. This is a video I recommend watching before running LCS unless you're just trying to run no AJS. I recommend watching this before any percent or 100% if you want to go that far. This will not be explained in any percent or 100% tutorials if I ever choose to make them. But that's all. Have a good night.